The Maldives is one of those places we all dream about, but this trip showed me it's so much more than just luxury resorts. From swimming with sharks and manta rays, to having lunch on a tiny sandbank in the middle of the ocean, and exploring beautiful local islands with stingrays at your feet. This episode is all about the experiences you can actually do here. But if you're new here, hi, I'm Laura. Welcome back to Life with Laura, where travel, lifestyle, and intentional living come together. So if you love beautiful places, feeling inspired, and creating a life that you love waking up to, you're in the right place. Now let's explore everything the Maldives has to offer. Firstly, one of the most iconic things you can do is swim with sharks and manta rays. And honestly, this was one of the craziest, most incredible experiences I've ever had. And the footage that I got from that trip, my family literally thought was AI. They couldn't believe their eyes. But these are actually nurse sharks. So they're very gentle, calm, and completely uninterested in you, which makes the experience feel so much safer when you're stuck in the middle of the ocean. But you swim around them, they swim around you, and it just feels like you're entering their world for the most peaceful few moments. And when I went, the water was really nice, it was warm, it was clear, and it was bright blue. And actually seeing these sharks up close is just surreal. But I actually arranged this trip with the local tour guides at my hotel, and the price is usually around $70 to $90 for the day trip, but this varies so much throughout the Maldives. For example, if you book at one of the more expensive bougie resorts, they charge around $500 upwards per person, and then also charge you premiums if you want the footage or the drone shots. Whereas for me, I booked just through a local island tour off Maldives, and I think I paid $90 cash just for the day trip, making it perfect for solo travelers or if you're on a budget as well, but you want to tick some really incredible things off of your bucket list. And it's also great for couples or if you're on tour with your friends, because I know with my experience, we got picked up at around 8 a.m. from the island and just got taken on a speedboat with some other people. I think there was around 10 or 15 of us in the group. And firstly, the ride there is absolutely beautiful because you're just gliding along the ocean. You see all of these beautiful islands off the coast of the Maldives. And then once you get to the area where the nurse sharks are, you have the option to add on a little floating inflatable. And truthfully, I just think I got such a lucky deal with my tour guide because it was around about $5 to add on this floating inflatable, which of course, the best $5 I've ever spent because it is what is separating you from the sharks. And it was incredible because you're just floating surrounded by all of these sharks. And I know many of the tours have drones like this one, so I paid an extra $10 or $20 or so for footage of me in the middle of the ocean on this floating inflatable, surrounded by sharks swimming. But I just love that the guides really take their time, so you have loads of opportunities to swim, film, rest. And of course, you didn't have to go on the inflatable. You also have the option just to go with your life jacket and chill and swim, which I then did afterwards. And I went snorkeling with these sharks. And what I have to say is definitely go with a reputable tour guide because I felt so safe. My instructor literally guided me through this whole pool of sharks. And it's just surreal. They're all surrounding you. You literally cannot see anything but sharks, which sounds like a nightmare, but genuinely, it was amazing. So I definitely think that going and swimming with sharks is such an incredible thing to do in the Maldives. And it's safe, beginner friendly, and such a special way to connect with nature. Now next up is one of my favorites, and it was a sandbank lunch. Now this is exactly what it sounds like. So you sail out to a tiny little strip of white sand in the middle of the Maldives Ocean, and it becomes your own little private paradise for a couple of hours. And you can walk the whole island in probably around 2 minutes, which just gives you some perspective as to how tiny this little patch of sand is in the middle of the entire ocean. But it's beautiful because it's you and the turquoise waters, and in every single direction there is so much gorgeous scenery. But I actually had this tour included with the shark swimming, which was such a good deal, honestly. But I think if you book it privately, maybe off a local island, it'll probably be around $30 to $50. And of course, if you're going with a more luxury resort, they will probably charge a premium. But the tour guides that I were with were so sweet, and they set up the sweetest little picnic area. So of course we had big umbrellas, we had nice little blankets, because it's still really hot and sunny and there's no shade on this island. So my tour guides were kind enough to get out some local food that they cooked. We had chicken drumsticks, some rice, some vegetables, some salad, a couple of pieces of fruit and also some juices. And it was just such a lovely afternoon because you could eat, you could walk, you can even snorkel if you bring the right gear. And then of course you can tan, you can relax. It honestly just feels like you've been dropped into a postcard. There's no hotels, there's no noise. It's just you, your boat, your group if you're with other people, and the gorgeous nature surrounding you. And my guides were also kind enough to offer drone footage, which I think was around $10 or $15. And honestly, it's the best content I've ever captured in my life. Truthfully, I'm so grateful because I met the loveliest couple while I was there, and they were the only ones out of the entire group who even wanted footage. And they convinced me, they were like, go for a walk on the sandbanks, do it, you know, get the footage, la la la. And honestly, it was just a beautiful experience that I'm so glad was actually captured. And it just felt like time slowed down there, because truthfully, you feel so small on that little island, but in such a beautiful way. So I would definitely say that this sandbank lunch is perfect if you're in a couple or just for solo travelers and photographers, because it feels like your own little peaceful sanctuary, and it's also very easy, super relaxing, and you don't need any equipment apart from yourself, maybe an umbrella, and of course the boat just to get you to the sandbank. But I'm so grateful for my lunch there because honestly that experience was magical. Now, another thing that I don't think people realise is how incredible the local islands are. Now, I visited a few, but places like Mafushi and others really stood out. So I even went ahead and did a Stingray trip on a local island. And it was beautiful because you could see nurse sharks and stingrays coming right up to the shore, and they glide by so gently, so everyone gathers around to watch. It feels magical but completely natural. And if you go with a tour guide like I did, you can get footage while you're there. And truthfully, thank goodness for the videos, because I don't think anyone would believe me when I said they literally come right up to you and you can lie down while they're gliding around. Truly, it's surreal. The local islands are also so colourful and filled with so much hustle and bustle. You'll find cute cafes and small little local restaurants. There are also local souvenir shops and kids running around playing. It's super welcoming and very laid back. And like me, if you're travelling here solo, the local islands feel very safe, very social, and absolutely full of character. And the best part, you get to experience the real Maldives. The culture, the people, the pace of life. It's such a contrast from the luxury resorts, but in the best possible way. And if you're traveling more on a budget, these islands are also super inexpensive when you compare them to more luxury resorts. For example, I think meal prices range from around $5 to $12. And if you're just gonna go get a little coconut or a coffee, it's around $2 or $3. And of course, to watch the nature and be immersed by the vibes, it's free. So going ahead and getting a speedboat to one of these islands is definitely worth it when you're visiting the Maldives. Now, truthfully, I am so grateful for this trip because it reminded me how special and grounding travel can be. Being in the ocean and seeing beautiful wildlife like this up so close, and slowing down on these tiny islands, embracing the local culture, it makes you appreciate life in a completely different way. So if you're planning a trip to the Maldives, I really hope this video showed you how much you can do beyond the resorts, and also that you don't need to break the bank to tick off those bucket list experiences. From sharks to stingrays to sandbanks to island life, the memories I made on this trip I will literally cherish forever. But in the next episode of Life with Laura, I'm sharing even more experiences you can try in the Maldives, from sunset fishing to horse riding along the beach, and the quiet moments that made this trip so special. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, that sort of thing. And from Life with Laura, from me to you, I hope that wherever you are, you're having a wonderful, glorious day.